It was a Monday morning in Antwerp, Belgium, February 17th, 2003. A security guard walked down 2 floors underground through a narrow corridor toward the most protected vault in the diamond world. A vault so secure that even the people who designed it believed it could never be broken into. But when he reached the vault door, something was wrong. It was open. He stepped inside, and what he saw stopped him cold. 160 steel safety deposit boxes lined the walls. Boxes belonging to the wealthiest diamond traders on earth. Boxes that had been locked behind 10 layers of security. Boxes that were supposed to be untouchable. Over 100 of them had been torn open, ripped apart, emptied. The stones were gone. The gold was gone. The cash was gone. Everything was gone. Belgian authorities arrived within minutes. Forensic teams, diamond investigators, federal detectives. All of them walked through that vault and said the same thing. This was impossible. Over $100 million in diamonds, gold, and jewels had vanished overnight from the most fortified vault in the world. Nobody saw anything, nobody heard anything, nobody knew how it happened. What the investigators did not yet know was that somewhere in northern Europe, a group of Italian thieves were driving away with the biggest haul in diamond history, and they had been planning this for over 2 years. This is the story of the Antwerp diamond heist, the crime that experts said could not be done, the theft that redefined what organized crime was capable of, and the one small careless mistake that brought it all crashing down. To understand the story, you have to first understand Antwerp. The city sits in northern Belgium, quiet and elegant. Old bridges over wide canals, chocolate shops and cathedral towers. But beneath that calm surface, Antwerp holds a secret that has defined it for over 500 years. It is the diamond capital of the world. 80% of all the world's rough diamonds pass through Antwerp at some point. The city processes more diamonds than any other place on the planet. Billions of dollars in stones move through its streets every single week. In a few concentrated blocks known as the Diamond District, thousands of traders, cutters, polishers, and dealers conduct business that would make most banks look small. And at the very center of that district, on a street called Schoopstraat, stood the Antwerp World Diamond Center. This building was not just an office block. It was a fortress disguised as a business address. Deep beneath the building, 2 floors underground, sat a vault that the industry considered absolutely impenetrable. It had been engineered to withstand every threat imaginable. Infrared heat detectors, a seismic sensor that could detect vibrations through solid concrete, a Doppler radar system, a magnetic field detector, motion sensors that could register the slightest movement of air, and the vault door itself was protected by a combination lock with 100 million possible combinations. Security professionals studied this vault. They ran tests, they ran simulations. They reached the same conclusion every time. It could not be robbed. That conclusion was about to be proven catastrophically wrong. His name was Leonardo Notarbartolo. In early 2000, he was a man in his late 40s living between Turin, Italy, and various parts of Europe. To look at him, you would see a charming, well-dressed, multilingual gentleman. He spoke Italian, French, and Dutch. He had a relaxed, confident manner. He smiled easily. He could walk into a room full of wealthy business people and within minutes feel like he belonged there. He was also one of the most skilled thieves in Italy. Notarbartolo had been stealing since he was a teenager. Not petty theft, not street crime. He had grown up honing a very specific and dangerous craft, the theft of high-value objects from high-security locations. Over decades, he had become what investigators would later describe as a professional of the highest order. Someone for whom breaking into a vault was not a crime of desperation, it was a form of art. He was the leader of a group known across European law enforcement as the School of Turin. The School of Turin was not a formal organization. It was a loose network of specialized Italian criminals based out of Turin, each with a different and extraordinary skill. They did not do bank robberies, they did not carry weapons, they did not threaten people. They operated in silence, in darkness, with patience and precision. They were craftsmen of crime. And in the year 2000, Leonardo Notarbartolo identified his greatest challenge yet: the Antwerp Diamond Center vault. He did not decide to rob it immediately. That was not how he operated. He decided first to study it, to understand it, to learn every corner, every system, every weakness. And to do that, he needed to get inside. In 2001, a diamond merchant from Italy rented an office on the upper floors of the Antwerp Diamond Center. His name, according to his documents, was Leonardo Notarbartolo. He presented himself as a multilingual gem importer with clients across Europe. He was polite, professional, and established. Nobody questioned him. The building staff welcomed him. The other traders greeted him in the corridor. What nobody in that building understood was that their new neighbor was not there to trade diamonds. He was there to rob them. By renting an office in the building, Notarbartolo gained something invaluable: a legitimate reason to be inside the diamond center at almost any hour. He had a key, he had a security pass. He even had access to a small safety deposit box in the vault beneath the building. And so he began his work. For over 2 years, he observed. He memorized guard schedules. He studied the elevator shafts and stairwells. He noted when the building emptied on weekends. He found the cameras. He traced the wiring of the alarm systems. He identified the exact make and model of the vault's combination lock and began researching how it could be defeated. He also assembled his team. Back in Turin, Notarbartolo gathered 4 specialists. He would later give them nicknames. There was the Monster, a man of extraordinary physical and mechanical ability, capable of picking any lock and disassembling any mechanical system. There was the Genius, an alarm and electronics expert who could neutralize any security system he encountered. There was Speedy, a longtime friend of Notarbartolo, fast and nimble, someone the mastermind trusted completely. There was the King of Keys, a locksmith so skilled that his true identity has never been confirmed to this day. He remains unknown. Together, these 5 men represented a complete toolkit for the perfect heist. All they needed was the right moment. That moment came in February 2003. The weekend of February 15th was chosen deliberately. The diamond district would be nearly empty. Many traders were away. Security would be minimal. The building would be quiet. Everything was in place. And on the evening of Friday, February 14th, 2003, the School of Turin went to work. Nobody knows exactly how they entered. The methods they used remain even today partially unconfirmed. What investigators later pieced together was this. Using the access that Notarbartolo had built over 2 years, the team gained entry to the building on Friday night. They moved carefully and silently. The genius went to work on the alarm systems first, using specialized equipment he had prepared specifically for this vault. The magnetic field detector was neutralized using a handmade device consisting of a simple aluminum panel and an adhesive strip, a solution so elegantly basic that it stunned the forensic team who discovered it later. The Doppler radar was blocked. The heat sensors were fooled. The seismic alarm was bypassed. One by one, 10 layers of security were dismantled with the precision of surgeons. Then they reached the vault door. The combination lock had 100 million possible combinations. But Notarbartolo had not simply guessed. During his 2 years inside the building, he had carefully observed the vault being opened. He had noted the movements of the lock dial. He had studied the mechanism. Whether through observation, inside assistance, or technical means that investigators were never fully able to confirm, the team opened the vault door. They stepped inside. What greeted them was extraordinary. Row after row of locked steel safety deposit boxes, each one belonging to a different diamond trader, each one filled with stones, cash, gold, and securities. The combined value of everything inside that vault was almost beyond calculation. The team worked through the night of Friday into Saturday and then through Saturday night into Sunday, methodically, systematically. They used specialized tools to open each box. They worked in near silence. They took everything of value. When they were finished, they had emptied 123 of the 160 boxes. The loot was so immense that they could not take it all. They had to leave some behind. They walked out of the building into the quiet Antwerp morning and disappeared. For a brief time, it seemed like the perfect crime had actually been committed. But the real story was only beginning. When investigators arrived at the vault on the morning of February 17th, the scale of what had happened took time to absorb. The Diamond Detective Squad of Antwerp, a specialized unit that dealt specifically with crimes in the diamond world, took over the case. Lead detectives Agim de Bruyker and Patrick Pace began assembling what little evidence remained. And there was very little. The thieves had been meticulous. No fingerprints, no useful traces inside the vault itself. No eyewitnesses, no footage of faces. The cameras had seen nothing meaningful. The investigation appeared to be heading nowhere. Then, on the outskirts of Antwerp, something unexpected happened. A man named August Van Camp owned land near the E19 motorway, the road that runs between Antwerp and Brussels. He was known locally as someone who regularly patrolled his property and reported any unauthorized dumping. On the morning of February 17th, he found a large collection of garbage bags that had been thrown on his land during the night. He called the police to report illegal fly tipping. It was a call that would change everything. When investigators arrived at Van Camp's land and opened those garbage bags, they found something that made them stand very still. Scattered among the rubbish were torn envelopes with the Antwerp Diamond Center logo. There were receipts. There were fragments of documents. There were loose gemstones, small emeralds that had fallen from the haul. There were prepaid SIM cards. And there was a partially eaten salami sandwich. That sandwich still had human DNA on it. The investigation had its first thread. What happened next showed both the brilliance and the fatal carelessness of the thieves. The DNA from the sandwich was processed. It pointed investigators toward a name they did not yet recognize. But the other items in the bags told a deeper story. A business card found in the rubbish identified a man named Elio Di Honorio, listed as an authorized security technician working for a client at the Antwerp Diamond Center. That client's name was Leonardo Notarbartolo. Detectives called their counterparts in Turin, Italy. The Turin authorities knew exactly who Notarbartolo was. He was one of the most sought-after jewel thieves in Europe, a man with a long criminal history, the leader of the School of Turin, a professional who had operated for decades across multiple countries. Within days, Belgian and Italian investigators were sharing intelligence. Notarbartolo's safe deposit box at the vault was identified. Investigators made an observation that sent a chill through the room. His box was the only one in the vault that had not been touched. A thief had rented a box inside the vault he robbed and left his own box completely untouched. It was a detail so precise, so deliberate, that it confirmed everything. This was an inside operation. This had been planned in extraordinary detail. The surveillance footage from the Diamond Center was reviewed frame by frame. The building manager recognized the face on screen immediately. It was the Italian diamond merchant who had rented an office on the upper floors. Now they had their man. But where was he? What happened next was something that investigators still talk about with disbelief. 5 days after the biggest diamond heist in history, Leonardo Notarbartolo returned to Antwerp. He walked back into the Antwerp Diamond Center. Whether it was to retrieve something, to maintain the appearance of normality, or simply because he believed he was still safe, is something only he knows. But on February 21st, 2003, detectives were waiting for him. He was arrested on the spot. He said nothing. He gave nothing away. He maintained a calm that, under the circumstances, seemed almost impossible. Even as he was led away in handcuffs, Notarbartolo did not break. He would later give interviews, offer fragments of information, and construct his own narrative of events. But he never gave up his team. He never identified a single one of them by their real names. The police had to find them through other means. The supermarket receipt found in Van Camp's garbage had a timestamp. Investigators went to that store and reviewed the security footage. On the screen, they saw a man buying an antipasto Italiano salami sandwich. That man was Ferdinando Finotto, known as the Monster. He was already on Italian law enforcement's radar in connection with a different robbery. He was arrested. The business card for Elio Donorio, the genius, gave police his identity directly. He was tracked down and arrested. Pietro Tavano, known as Speedy, was connected through phone records. During the heist weekend, his mobile phone had been in constant contact with Notarbartolo's. He too was arrested. The King of Keys was never found. His true identity remains unknown to this day. 4 men were charged. In 2005, a Belgian court convicted them. Notarbartolo was sentenced to 10 years in prison. The others received 5-year sentences. It was over, except for one thing. The diamonds were never found. Over $100 million in stones, gold, jewels, and cash had been taken from that vault. In the years since the heist, only a fraction of it has been recovered. Small amounts were found in the homes of those arrested. Marked banknotes were discovered at the home of Finotto's girlfriend. 17 polished diamonds with Diamond Center certificates were found in Notarbartolo's apartment in Turin, but the vast majority of the haul has simply vanished. Where did the stones go? This is the question that has haunted investigators, journalists, and diamond industry insiders for over 20 years. One theory points to an inside client. There has long been speculation, including from Notarbartolo himself in later interviews, that the heist was not entirely the idea of the School of Turin. That someone connected to the diamond industry had commissioned the theft, perhaps to collect insurance on stones they themselves had placed in the vault. This theory has never been proven, and Notarbartolo's version of events has been questioned by investigators who believe he constructed a story designed to muddy the waters. What is not questioned is this: the stones are gone. The people who received them understood diamonds well enough to cut, repolish, and reintroduce them into the global supply chain without detection. Diamonds, unlike currency, carry no serial numbers once they have been recut. They are simply stones. The heist of the century succeeded in its primary objective. The money was never recovered. In 2009, after serving 4 years, Notarbartolo was released on parole. He violated several conditions of his release, including failing to compensate the victims. A European arrest warrant was issued in 2011. He was arrested again in January 2013 at Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris and was returned to prison to serve the remainder of his sentence. He was finally released in 2017. Today, Leonardo Notarbartolo is in his 70s. He lives quietly in Giaveno, a small town near Turin. He is reported to own a small jewelry business. The man who stole $100 million from the world's most secure diamond vault now lives an ordinary private life. The diamonds he stole are somewhere in the world right now, in a ring on someone's finger, in a necklace around someone's neck, in a vault somewhere, waiting. They look like every other diamond. Nobody who owns them knows what they are. What this story ultimately reveals is something deeply human. For over 2 years, Leonardo Notarbartolo sat inside the very building he was planning to rob. He shook hands with the people whose life savings he intended to steal. He smiled at the security guards whose systems he was quietly dismantling. He built a fiction so complete, so consistent, and so patient that not a single person suspected the truth. The security systems in that vault were the most advanced of their era. Tens of millions of dollars had been invested in making it impenetrable. Experts had certified it. The industry trusted it. And it was defeated not by brute force, not by explosives, not by technology more advanced than anything the defenders possessed. It was defeated by time, by patience, by the simple human act of showing up every day until you understand the place as well as the people who built it. The vault was not robbed on February 15th, 2003. It was robbed over 2 years of quiet, invisible preparation. And in the end, what brought it down was not a brilliant investigator or a technological breakthrough. It was a man named August Van Camp who walked his land every morning and reported anything that should not have been there. $100 million stolen with 2 years of planning, unraveled by a half-eaten sandwich on a piece of farmland. That is the Antwerp diamond heist, the crime of the century, still to this day unsolved in its most important dimension. The diamonds are still out there.